morning, everybody. Let's get my face up there so you guys can all see. Hello. And welcome to another episode of Straight Talk with Joe Vollano. Glad you are all here with us tonight. We have a lot to discuss. We got a lot going on in the city. We have a lot going on in the state. We have a lot going on in the federal government, at least what's coming to us from the federal government, which, in case you don't know, it looks like they want masks everywhere. And all you vaccinated people that were good little children that went and got vaccinated, it seems like it doesn't matter anymore. Now they're talking about a third one. They're talking about a booster shot already. I tell you, if this isn't the most brilliant idea I ever thought of, I wish I had thought of this. If I knew you could make this kind of money, I mean, they're making trillions. You think of these pharmaceutical companies, they are making billions and billions of dollars. The government stole trillions of dollars from the American people. And all this for nonsense. Everything you've done before means absolutely nothing. Means absolutely nothing. And the pharmaceuticals are more than happy to sit there and say, hey, you need a third shot. You need a booster shot. And you need one already. If this isn't the biggest pile of horse, you know what, I have ever heard, and it gets dumber and dumber. Dumber and dumber. And the people are like, okay. I was like, what the hell is going on here? Where is the America that we grew up in? Where are all the Americans that had common sense that have to be looking at this now and saying, wait a minute here. I think we're being fed a bunch of bullshit. Because if you don't see it, I don't think anyone is going to help you. You're just going to believe whatever the government tells you. It is absolutely amazing. So we're going to go through a couple things tonight. We're going to talk about the Cardona press conference, in case anyone doesn't know. Meriden own Miguel Cardona, who is the Secretary of Education, amazingly, he did a press conference over at the White House, and we have some clips of that press conference because a couple of things stuck out to me about this whole thing. But before we get into that, because I'm going to forget, as you all know, I am Joe Vollano. In case this is your first time here, I see some first timers logging in. So I am Joe Vollano. I am your host and your guiding light through this absolute nonsense that we are going through. And of course, this show always works best when you are part of it. And you could always feel free to call in 203-679-9610. Or if you like to sit there and email us, straighttalkjv@gmail.com. Always feel free to send us an email. And as always, the chats are always blazing away. So I see everybody on there. Even Mr. Thurston joined us tonight. There were some good races up there in Waterford last night that I got to attend with him. It was a good time. And of course, I always keep track of what you guys are talking about. Let's say we're talking about vaccines. Are you vaccinated? I identify as a vaccinated person. So therefore, I guess I am. So that's how I look at it. I think this whole thing is just nonsense. If you are afraid to go out, if you're afraid of getting COVID, do me a favor. Just stay in your house. Go into your basement, do whatever you need to do, create a bubble for yourself, and you are going to be totally safe. For me, I'll go out there and enjoy my life. I enjoy it too much to sit there at home. And I'm too damn busy to sit there and worry about what's going to happen with COVID, who has, a 99.4% survival rate. So, it is what it is. I don't judge people. If you're scared of it, if you have pre-existing conditions, stay home. Do us all a favor. Stay home. But you're not going to keep the rest of us that just want to enjoy life and we really don't have any issues with it to go out and live it. So, like I said, we have the Cardona press conference. We have a lot going in the city. They had the National Night Out last week. I did not get to attend it since I was at work. So I did not go to that. But we have some interesting clips and some quotes from the paper from some of our politicians who all of a sudden are now pro-police. Go figure, right? Go figure. All of a sudden, now they're pro-police. Is that because, one, is blowing up in their face, two, that they see that the public is totally against their friggin' nonsense? Or is it three, that they just think that the people, citizens of Meriden, are just too stupid and have too short of an attention span to remember this come November? So we'll go through that. Also, we're going to talk about mask mandates and the hypocrisy going on within the science community, which I would say the White House, with Fauci and the upcoming Sturgis motorcycle rally, compared to other events that have been held around the country that they were absolutely dead silent on. But because everyone knows Sturgis is mostly Republicans, and people might not realize that most bikers are actually Republicans. So they're not too happy about Sturgis motorcycle rally going on. I believe it's next week. So we'll talk about that. And we'll talk about anything else you guys want to talk about. I apologize. I've had a ton of emails piling up in my inbox. I'll try to get to some of them, but unfortunately we won't get to all of them because there's been a lot. And again, all respect to our emergency dispatchers. The city manager comes back from vacation tomorrow because it wasn't important enough. It's his top priority, but it wasn't important enough for him to go on vacation. But for all that, like I said, for all those emergency dispatchers working 90 to 100 hours a week who would love a vacation, don't worry. He's back on it tomorrow. Tomorrow he might make it his top priority again. I know he should, because I'm going to be in his office tomorrow morning. And I'm still interested in seeing that inch-thick stack that he has waiting for us. So that apparently he has all these ideas for our great emergency dispatch center. So I look forward to meeting with him tomorrow for that. So stay tuned for that. We'll talk about that more on Thursday. But if you are not aware of what's going on today, like I said, the Meriden Police had their National Night Out. Great event. Normally they have it down at Hubbard Park. For some reason they had it in the quad between the police department and the courthouse. But I heard it was okay. It was an all right attended. It was only, I think, like 200 people, they said, attended it. But every politician was there. Well, most politicians were there, including our friends from the other side, especially my favorite person of all, who I ran into the other night, the Majority Leader, Sonia Jelks. Nice to see she is in Meriden. It is nice to see that she's back here, and she was going to a local restaurant over at Iliano's, which is a great restaurant over there on the west side. If you haven't been there, I do love their food. So I was there, and she actually came on by, and if looks could kill, I would have been dead 10 times over. But again, the mayor, so Kevin Scarpati, said, and I quote, "We need to come together to support our officers who are out there protecting us." We all who are sitting here right now can sit there and say, yeah, no shit. We've been saying that forever. Last time I checked, this mayor was all for and actually supported the fact that this city has a racist problem. This mayor supported that. This mayor supported the police, the brutality, the use of force committee, knowing that there was no problem of use of force, literally calling our cops racist, and they were beating people for no apparent reason. But now all of a sudden, because there's people in front of them, no, we need to all work together. We need to all work together. Because he continued on, and he said, we can't imagine some of the things they see in doing their jobs. Are you kidding me? Really? Like what, Mr. Mayor? Like what? Maybe people shooting each other out in the streets? Maybe people burglarizing, home invasions. All sorts of crazy stuff. Yeah, they see it on a daily basis. They deal with the most violent people of our society. But last time I checked, it's not the police department out there shooting each other or shooting at them. They're shooting at each other. Like I said, nobody wants to talk about it because it's that third rail. Nobody wants to get into the real problem with crime in the city. Nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to talk about the gangs. Nobody wants to talk about the drugs and the environment it creates. We just want to attack the police officers and say they're the problem. They're the use of, they're using excessive use of force, which there is absolutely no facts behind that. It's not the police department sitting there targeting African Americans, Hispanics. It's not them. They don't want to be called out to these scenes. They're forced to be called out to these scenes. They're not shooting at each other. Most of it is black on black crime. But nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to talk about that because people like Sonia Jelks will sit there and go, well, you're being racist. No, you're being the racist for not acknowledging it and not taking it full head on. You are the one that is sitting there perpetuating this idiotic and false narrative that the city of Meriden has racial problems. We don't. You just don't want to realize, or you just don't want to publicly say what the real problem is. It's easier to blame somebody else. You don't mind doing that. But God forbid you sit there and want to acknowledge the real problem we have in the city, and that's drugs, gangs. She is the only person in this city that is trying to put a negative view of what Meriden really is. And she is the head of this city. Make no doubt about it, people. The mayor means nothing. The power is in the council. She is the head of the council as majority leader. And she is trying to put a view of Meriden as racist, and we have a police problem. We have a police brutality problem. That's the perception she's putting out there with her own words and actions. But yeah, we're the problem in her eyes. And she has the audacity to turn around to the police and say, I don't see how there's an issue between us and between the police and the council. It's like, what are you friggin' smoking, lady? There's dissension between the police department and the council? No. How is that possible? I don't know. That's how arrogant these son of a bitches are. That's how out of touch they are. They can't see how the police department could be at odds with them. It's absolutely amazing to me. What's even more amazing is that these people keep getting elected year after year after year for the last 30 to 40 years. Absolutely ridiculous. What are we talking about here with prostitute? I'm sorry, I'm not even going to get into that tonight. But to sit there and say now we need to support our officers? No, we always needed to support our officers. We don't need to start doing that now. They needed you back months ago. Where were you, Mr. Mayor, months ago when the police department needed you? Sonia Jelks, Councilwoman Jelks, where were you months ago when the police needed you? You were too busy trying to score political points and furthering a social justice agenda to hamstring them and to handcuff them from doing their jobs. That's what you were doing. So to sit here and say this now, Mr. Mayor, just tells me how full of shit you really are and how much you don't care, and you are willing to play political games with the protection of the people of Meriden and the police department. Because you didn't mean any of those words. If you meant any of those words, you would have done or said half of what you said and done over the last 6 to 7 months. And you're always more than welcome to call into this show right now, because I know you guys listen. I know you do. Always feel free to call in, 203-679-9610. We could have this discussion all night long. Empty words do nothing. Empty words mean nothing. It's your actions that mean everything. And while you may have no power in the city, you are supposed to be, as the mayor, the ambassador for the city. That's your job. You are supposed to be the face. You're supposed to be who the council turns to dump all their crap on, which I said in previous, you love doing. You love being the face, and you don't mind dealing with the crap. That's why the council absolutely loves you. But please, stop it with the empty words. We need to we need to protect our police, we need to support our police officers. If you really meant that, you would not have done half or said half of what you've done over the last 8 months, 7 to 8 months. It's ridiculous. So I call bullshit when I see it, and there it is. Because it's absolutely amazing. And it's disgusting to me. And if the people fall for it this election, shame on them. You know, what they always say, you know, at first I fall, shame on you. If you do it again to me, shame on me. Well, people, shame on us for the last 30 years. Because it's the same nonsense over and over again, and we keep doing the same damn thing. So we really need to change on how we see things and getting people in there that see things the way we do. And that doesn't mean just saying, rah, 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 here we go. I support this person. No, it means going out there, knocking on doors with them. It means going out there and donating to them if you can. It means spreading in your circle of influence these candidates that mean great to do great things in our city. That's what it means. That's your job. That's our job. You know, someone talked about the song at the beginning of the show because they asked me if I could change it. And I said, why the hell would I want to change the opening of this song, of this show? That song is exactly what represents us. It is a perfect song for what this show represents. We are the voice of the unheard. And we've been doing great things. Look at all the things we've accomplished and we've brought forward in this city over the last, 5 months we've been doing this? We've had Democrat politicians on here who would never even think about coming on a show because they're forced to. Because our voices are so loud, like an earthquake or a hurricane. That is us joining together to put our voices out there. The voices of the unheard are being heard now. They're having meetings almost on a daily basis now about police dispatch. Do you think they'd be doing that if we didn't join the forces here? Listen, I'm just one person. I've been saying this crap for years. The things I say on here, I've been talking about for years. But the fact that now that we have an audience behind it forces them to stand up and look and say, hey, we got a freaking problem here because this could get out of hand really quick. That's not due to me. It's due to all of us. That's who it's due to. That's who it's due to. So we need to keep it up. But we can make a real difference come November. All of us together. In our circle of influence. We all have at least 10 people in our circle of influence that need to hear what we're talking about here. They need to. And it's up to you and up to me to make sure that we get it out to as many people as we can. It's vitally important. Vitally important. I'm only one person. I just happen to have a studio here where I could put all this stuff out there and you guys get to listen. But it takes more than just me. It takes more than just me. It takes all of us. And we need to do our parts. We all have different parts to play. But at the end of the day, if all of us go together, we can make some serious change. We've already proven that. We've already proven that. So we need to keep it up. So what's else is going on? So what I expected, the city's being sued again, obviously. The city of Meriden has decided to take all the tax exemption statuses away from certain nonprofits in the city. So, as you all know, as well, in case you don't know, I am on the appeals commission for assessments, so assessment appeals committee. So I listen to some of the people that come in and try to contest their assessments. And I happen to have all three of these come by my desk. So, and I voted against taking away their tax exemption. I know the paper has been after me for the last couple of days to get my opinion on it. I really didn't have time to answer them. They already knew where I stand on it from the last time we discussed. But again, does the assessment office, I know everybody hates the assessment office. I get it. Everybody hates when their assessments go up or when things get changed. I get it. But at the end of the day, the assessor has a valid point on this issue. The problem I have with her point is that it should have waited till next year. So now the city has to waste more money. And of course, they're going to turn around and the city hall is going to be like, well, no, our internal lawyers take care of this. Listen, this takes a lot of time. A lot of time. So if this isn't being outsourced, something else will be to an outside firm. Because we do use a lot of outside law firms to handle certain litigation. This is having to be one they're going to say, oh, no, we do it in-house, but then it means something else is going to be pushed out. So it's going to cost the city money. And that's the issue I had with it. While I do agree with the assessor's office that some of these nonprofits do need to be reined in and they should lose some of their tax exempt status on certain things, I had a problem with her picking and choosing which ones they were going to be this year. When next year, they all have to reapply for tax exempt status. And that would have been the time to do what she wanted to do this year. So, but again, the city is now being sued again. So another big surprise. I'm not surprised by it. And I hate the fact that it's costing the city money because it's taxpayers' money that, we should not be friggin' spending right now. So, but in case you saw it in the paper, I wanted to give a clarification on what it is. It is what it is. I'm disappointed in the tax assessor's office that this is where it's gotten to when we could have fixed all this next year. But again, it's just the city of Meriden finding new and inventive ways to spend your tax dollars unnecessarily. And this is a prime example of us doing just that. So, and the other thing going on in the city of Meriden is starting next year, we're finally going to get this this interchange issued, a 691-91 interchange, where every single day I see a friggin' accident after an accident. That's finally going to get started next year. And I don't know if any of you attended the public meeting for it to express your concerns or ask any questions that you had. It was actually quite informative. And it should start sometime next fall, but it's going to be about $330 million by time all is said and done. So it should be quite interesting. Mike, you're right next to the highway, so I don't know how this impacts you. I don't know if this noise study is going to be part of what you guys are going to be doing, but it is something that needs to get done. Whoever designed this highway system and this interchange, I don't know what they were thinking, but hopefully this all gets worked out, and hopefully it's a little bit safer over there, because we see way too many accidents. Some of them are quite serious. They had a breakdown of what all the accidents were over there. But, we'll talk about that more come next year when we start seeing the actions take place. I got my cherry Dr. Pepper back at Walmart. Walmart finally got it back in stock. Last time they did not. I don't want to get our police officer. We're going to haul that there. A lot of interesting stuff's going to come. It's supposed to be all done during off-peak times, usually overnight. But we'll see where that plays out. But so that's everything that's going on in the area. Like I said, they had the motorcycle rally coming up in I think it's next week. And the thing that kills me is Fauci again. Fauci, it's coming to be my favorite doctor. I can't even believe he said it. Is that, when it comes to dealing with a public health crisis that involves you, your family, and everyone else, that something supersedes the need to do exactly what you want to do. So basically, no, you don't get to decide as an American what you want to do and what you don't want to do anymore. That is where we've come. And that line alone right there tells me everything I need to know about where this government is at, where our federal government is at. It is dangerous. They are going to dictate to you what you can and cannot do. And just because you got the vaccine does not mean anything. You're supposed to be wearing the mask again. It is absolutely ridiculous. But too many people are so happy to sit there and say, no, I'm going to do it. It's quite sad. But if you look at everything else that's been going on, you notice the only thing that they've talked about and the only thing they're against is Sturgis, the Sturgis rally. And they call it the super spreader. Lollapalooza. I think I even have someone had just sent me a thing. So Lollapalooza, nothing. You heard nothing. That's not a super spreader. The Obama birthday party. You had hundreds underneath that tent. Nothing. You heard nothing. But a motorcycle rally that's outside in fresh air. No. You're the devil. You're the devil for doing it. Absolutely not. You don't care about nobody's life. The way they love to pick and choose their outrage should tell you something. Because I think someone sent me a picture. Let me put it up there. Yeah, so that was this is a good meme that someone sent me. I loved it. Lollapalooza in July. Look at that. Nobody said a friggin' word. But these will be our schools in 2021 with the mask. And it's the perfect segue into our talk about the Secretary of Education. Because he had a press conference, I believe it was like 3 days ago, about, vaccines and opening a school. So let's hear the first clip. This is from Secretary Cardona, who, again, Meriden's own Miguel Cardona, who is now, amazingly, somehow the Secretary of Education. But here is the first clip of him answering some questions.
We're also highlighting how the American Rescue Plan funds can be used to support these areas. These include helping get our young people vaccinated. We're doubling down to get more students vaccinated as they return to school. We know vaccines are working, and they're the safest and most effective way to fight back the COVID-19, to prevent outbreaks, and to ensure a safe school year. That's why I'm echoing the President's call to action to host pop-up vaccine clinics in every school across the country, to enlist trusted leaders in our community, to build vaccine confidence. It's all hands on deck here.
Vaccine confidence. If vaccines worked, we wouldn't be in the situation we're in right now. We wouldn't be going back to mask mandates. They always are constantly contradicting themselves. They make it too easy for people like myself who don't believe in this crap to sit there and question it. If vaccines work, why do we need masks? Why are we all of a sudden talking about having masks again? If you're just told me that vaccines work, we know, and he used this phrase all the time, like at least 6 times during this press conference, that we know what works. Apparently you don't know anything of that works, or else we would have taken care of this throughout the last year and a half. You don't know what you're doing. You have no idea what you're doing. You never did. And you guys are just spitballing here and just being reactive to whatever you want. There is no science behind this. Even Fauci himself said masks don't work. Masks don't mean anything. He even said it. But now we're going back to masks because we know that works. No, obviously not. Because if you thought the vaccine, either you got to pick one. You got to be on one side or the other. Either vaccines work or they don't work. And if you don't have a vaccine, then you need a mask. You got to pick and choose which one. Which one works? You can't tell everyone, go get vaccinated so you don't have to wear a mask. And then when they don't, then when they get vaccinated, they stop wearing their mask. You can't turn and say, oh, no, you got to put that back on. Well, we were just kidding. We were just kidding. Yeah, why don't you go throw that thing back on? What kind of message does that put out? It reminds me of the little boy that cried wolf. You know, how many times are you going to sit there and yell it out before people just turn around and say, yeah, no, and then all of a sudden, you know, something will actually happen? I'm sorry, you cannot be doing this kind of thing. You can't say one thing and then do another. And sit there and say, oh, sorry, it's a different variant. How many other variants are there going to be? Because last time I checked, viruses are always mutating. So does that mean we're in this forever? So we're doing this forever, is basically what you're saying. Or are we doing this just long enough that you can get control over what you want to get control over, which is the American population? Which, again, I'm frightened by how many people are more than willing to do it, to give you the control. To give up your freedoms for security is the scariest thing I've ever heard in my life, which is why I was against the Patriot Act when George Bush was in office. I am not giving up my freedoms for a sense of security. You know what my sense of security is? My AR that's sitting upstairs. That's my sense of security. That's all I need. And common sense. I know I'm a healthy individual who could go out into the public and not worry about COVID. If you are not one of those, stay home in your bunker, go out in your bubble, and do you. Or I like to say to everybody, do you, boo. You go do you. I'll do me. But to let the government dictate what I can and cannot do, well, is never going to happen. So here is Miguel Cardona, or Secretary Cardona, be respectful, talk about Texas and Florida.
To wearing masks, my children included. Right. What is your message to governors like Governor DeSantis in Florida and Governor Abbott of Texas who have banned mask mandates?
You know, don't be the reason why schools are interrupted. Our kids have suffered enough. Let's do what we know works. Let's do what we know works across the country. We shouldn't get politics doesn't have a role in this. educators know what to do. We did it last year. So I have calls out to those states, but at the end of the day, I want to work with Texas. I want to work with Florida. I want to make sure those students have access to in-person learning. So at the end of the day, we're all in this together, and it's critically important that we have conversations with governors directly, with state chiefs directly. We want to be an ally and make sure that we're supporting our students. At the end of the day, we're talking about students being in classrooms. They've suffered enough. It's time for them to be in the classroom without disruption to their learning.
You're absolutely right. They have suffered enough. They suffered enough of you and your fellow Democrats up and down in Washington. That's the only ones politicizing this. Republicans are not politicizing this. This is purely Democrats doing this. You and your department kept people from attending school last year. It was the CDC. It was the federal government that prevented kids from going to school. You guys are the ones that are hurting the students. These governors are trying to get these kids back to school. And like I said, Fauci himself said that masks don't work. It's been proven the masks are not work. Kids are the ones that are going to get it the least. They're the least susceptible to the virus. Get these kids back to school. Get these kids back to school. We did it at the end of the year last year. We did it at the end of the school last year. Just get these kids back in the classroom. If states don't want to have mask mandates, they don't have them. There's no science that's showing that they're wrong. And he keeps saying that. We know what works. You don't know shit. That's the honest to God truth. We're a year and a half and you still know nothing. Or else this would have been under control. It would have been under control. So please, don't sit there and tell us you know what works. Because you wouldn't be going back on your promises to the American people that if you got vaccinated, you would not have to wear a mask. So either you lied to the American people because you know it works, or you just have to admit that, listen, we don't really know anything. We're just trying to throw everything at the wall and hopefully something works. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. But at the end of the day, we don't know. We're incompetent. Just sit there and say that. Because I know that's the truth. But this next one is my favorite one, though. Because this is the one they're going to use to shut down schools. Just so you know, so heads up. This is what they're going to use to shut down schools.
You made the point, just again, that politicians don't be the reason why schools close. On the flip side, if you're a parent in one of these states, should families feel safe sending their children to schools where there aren't mask mandates?
You know, as a parent myself, I would make sure that when my wife and I are making decisions about sending our children to school, I want to make sure that they're going into a safe learning environment. I know that I can send my children into school with masks, although both of my children were vaccinated. If that's the rule in the school, that's what we'll follow. I do ask parents to communicate with schools now and make sure that they're comfortable sending their children to school. And I'm also going to be monitoring where places have rules that are limiting mask use, whether or not students that need to be in school are not going because of a lack of confidence. To me, those are adult actions preventing students to their right of public education.
And is there, if you find that that's an issue, is there anything that from the federal level you can do, any leverage that you guys
If we find that because of poor policy, students are not accessing the right to public education, we will have conversations with those states and take that very seriously.
Yamiche and Jeff, and then we.
So if students don't want to go back to school because they lack the confidence, we're going to take that up with the adults. That has nothing to do with policy. That's preference. That is student and parent preference. That has nothing to do with friggin' science. And this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to say the perception is the reality. And it's bullshit because it's not. They are just saying, okay, well, if you have a perception that your school is unsafe because they don't require a mask, that you're not going to go, we're going to blame the school system for that. Whatever happened to following the science? Did we forget about that? Now we're going back to emotion now. Now we're going back to making policy based on emotion. Well, if you don't feel safe, if you need a safe space, we're going to come in there and help you. We're going to be monitoring it. We're going to be monitoring it. If you're not going, if you're supposed to be in school, you need to be in school, but you don't want to go because you don't feel safe. We're going to have serious talks with the states. If I was the state, I'd tell you to go F yourself. I'd be like, tell the kid to get to school. Get to school. But this is where they will use to try to shut down schools. This is exactly the avenue they will use to try to fight back against non-mask mandated states. They're not going to follow the science. The science is gone. Screw the science. That ship sailed and sunk months ago. That sunk months ago. So forget about science. Science means nothing now. This is all political now. Because now everything is subjective. We're not worried about states. This is all subjective now. And this is where you're going to have all your crazy liberal parents, all your crazy liberal students walking in the street saying, we don't feel safe. We're not going back to school. Do you know what? Then don't. Don't go back to school. Go back to distant learning. Hey, listen, I've been for distance learning for students who want it. I said this whole COVID thing has been a test run for what I've been talking about for years. Listen, you have certain students who don't want to go to school and want to do distance learning, want to do online learning. And it could save a lot of cities and towns a lot of money for students who want to do that. It could lessen the crowding in the classrooms. There are some people that like it. There are some people that don't want to go back to full-time school and they want to stay on distance learning. I said this years ago, and a lot of teachers on Facebook, came at me with vengeance. Now they're the ones that are fucking promoting it. So to me, I said this when I first started the show, this has been nothing but a positive test run for my theory that I had years ago. But because I'm a Republican and because I'm against mask mandates, and I support it still, I'm the devil. But that's okay. But if you think that parents and students are going to dictate whether or not schools are going to stay open, nonsense. And if Secretary Cardona thinks that he's going to try to rule with an iron fist, not leading by science, but by emotion of liberal parents and students, he's got another thing coming. That's just crazy to me. He's right. We did this last year. We have done this last year. We know it could work. If students want to wear the mask in the city, and listen, fine, wear the mask. I don't care. Joseph told me the other day. He's like, I just want to go back to school. I don't really care about the mask, which is fine. But to me, I don't feel he should be required to wear it. But listen, I also come to the realization we live in a liberal state. So we're going to be dictated by liberals. That's who we voted for. Again, elections have consequences, and this is a prime example of that. There are plenty of times I would love to pack up and move to Texas or Florida right now. But here's where we're at. But to sit there and say that the government's going to dictate what you can and cannot do is crazy. And it goes everything against what America was founded on. And I'm telling you now, ladies and gentlemen, if you're one of these people, or you know one of these people that are all for letting the government tell them what they do and what they can and cannot do, you better talk to them, because it's going to get out of hand awfully quick. And again, I think these whole things is just one big giant money scheme. If you look at it, I say with anything, just follow the money. And there are trillions of dollars on the line. I still think this whole thing is one big giant money Ponzi scheme. And we are on the losing end of it. So pay attention for more on that. So since we have a couple minutes here, we'll go to a couple of questions that let me see what you guys have been talking about here. I've gotten so much on my soapbox here that I haven't been paying attention to what you guys are writing on. So yeah, again, I think it's fair. Yeah, fair. Listen, liberalism, Marxism, fascism, it relies on fear. We've said it the whole time. It relies on fear. If you're not scared of something, then you have no reason to use them, to need them. They need you to know. They want you to need them for everything. That's how liberalism works. That's how it's all about control. If they can control you to do as they wish, then those at the top could do whatever they want. And this is a prime example. Look at the Obama party. Look at the Washington, D.C. Mandated masks, but yet the mayor is sitting there at a party with no face mask on in an inside building. It's hypocrisy at its finest. And there's still people out there going, oh, well, they're vaccinated or whatever. No, apparently vaccinations don't work. Vaccinations don't work. So you need more. So, the hypocrisy is astounding. And I can't believe that the American people are falling for it. But there are certain ones that fall for it every single time. So let's hit a couple questions here. Since I always like questions, I always love your emails. So always feel free. Let me put it up there. Send your emails if you don't want to. Oh, look at that. I got rid of myself. There we go. Now we're there. No, what are we doing here? Bang. And bang. There we go. That seems more like it. I almost forgot how to use my board here. So again, if you want to call in 203-679-9610, you always feel free to call in and join on the show. Or you can email us straighttalkjv@gmail.com. And that's where most of you guys like to do. You guys love to email me. And you guys email me all sorts of great stuff, so I appreciate it. And you guys always keep me up to date on things that I am not paying attention to. So, but you guys do send me great questions. And one came, there it is, from Allie. And she is from, she is from Meriden. And she asked me, as a business owner, she's a fellow business owner. And she asked me, as a fellow business owner, I was wondering if you see any backlash from your political views that you put on your show. No, I don't. So believe it or not, for those of you who don't know, right there, Filler Up. That's a company that I own, based here in Meriden. We deliver gas, diesel, and heating oil. No, I don't see. I definitely don't see a decrease in my business. My business primarily doesn't really affect Meriden, even though I do have a lot of liberals actually that use our service in the city of Meriden. And listen, I don't discriminate, and people can have their point of views, and I respect that. I may not agree with it, but no, my business has been going great. In fact, in a couple of weeks, we'll have some great news. We have finalized terms for the buying out of another oil company. This will be our third oil company, so that we will be welcoming into the Filler Up family. We'll talk about more about that come towards that. That will close on September 1st. So we will, I'll give you some updates on that as we get closer to it. But the outline of the agreement has been finalized. I think it's a win-win for both sides. I look forward to welcoming the company to the family, the Filler Up family, and you'll probably see their trucks. I mean, every once in a while, you guys will see a Gargiulo's truck up here. Since right now our Filler Up truck is normally down the shoreline, but you'll see a couple more trucks up here that I will be moving to Meriden. So. So we'll be moving some more trucks up here to Meriden. Obviously, we'll be adding to the tax rolls up here in Meriden with our property taxes, with our trucks coming up here. So we're looking forward to that. And like I said, I'll get into more of the details as it gets closer with the company name and stuff and what we're going to do with that. But it expands our reach a little bit more since some of those customers are more on the shoreline. But again, I'm always happy to bring on new people to the family, and it gives more work to unfortunately to Barbara there. It gives her more work, but she'll have some help coming up in October, hopefully. So, and yeah, Paul, forget about the union thing. Like I said, I am all for giving more money. I will just unfortunately have to take it from the free oil that some people get around here. So they're gonna have to pick and choose on their poison. Do they want to give Barbara more money, or do they want to get free oil? So I'll let them fight amongst themselves on that. But yeah, so we're really excited about it. I'm glad to get this deal finalized. So, but no, as you can see, no, it does not affect our business at all. Like I said, most of my customers in the city of Meriden are actually very liberal. But again, we have a mutual respect for each other on our views. Everybody knows I'm a hard conservative. I am, for some people, I know they're hard liberals, and that's fine. I get it. Just as long as at the end of the day, we're all trying to do what's best for the city of Meriden and for the state and for our country. If we can meet on those terms, probably 90% of the stuff that we talk about, we actually agree upon. And then you got that 10%, which is just hard-nosed. We'll take it to our graves that the other side is wrong. So, and there's nothing wrong with that. You'll never see me go against the police. You'll never see me go against first responders. I just don't. There's certain things I just don't move on. So, okay. So Barbara's saying no free oil anymore for some people in the family. So looks like maybe she'll get a raise. But yeah, so great question. No, don't be afraid. Again, it also depends on what your. I don't want to say that because it also depends on what your circumstances are. If you're a full service business just in Meriden and you have a fixed store location, I get it where some people could be a little intimidated to come out and say something, especially being as outspoken as I am. I really don't care what people think. If you don't want to use my service because I'm a conservative, then you're just a friggin' idiot, and you're more than welcome to go use another oil company. I do not mind. It won't keep me up at night. So get a union and you could get both. No, she'll be out of a job. She'll get nothing. So I would tread carefully, Mr. Vollano. Let's go to another question. With elections coming up, and this is from Brian, and he is from Meriden. With elections coming up, are you worried that our voices will not be heard once again? Again, that's up to you guys. That's not up to me. That's not up to me. I'm here. I'm here doing what I do. You're there doing what you do. So, am I scared that people won't have their voices heard? Yeah, I'm always scared. It always makes me nervous. Yeah, why wouldn't it make you nervous? If you've seen the city going in the wrong direction for so many years, How can you not get worried that, it's not going to, people aren't going to be asleep at the wheel and just doing the same thing again? You have to be worried about it. I'm always worried about it. But I think this year, I think Republicans, I think that, like I said about a month ago, that the roles have been reversed this year. And I think the Republicans have the strong candidates, and Republicans have a ton of money, where the Democrats have nobody this year. I mean, look what they got. In Area 3, this Vanessa Hutchins, she doesn't even want to run. She's a placeholder. They had nobody going into that nominating committee. LaRue Graham, he said 8 months ago he wasn't running. And then he says, they begged and pleaded him to stay. I mean, is that really the people you want representing you? People that you need to beg and plead to stay and to represent you? I don't know about you guys. That's not the people I want. You have a slate of Republicans this year that are gung-ho at making sure that people know that they mean business and that they're here to fix this city. That's what they're here to do. And you're going to see these candidates out there. Mr. Hanson, we talked about this last week, but I'll address it again in a second. He's talking about planning commission. But listen, I think now Republicans, are going to have a strong push to make some change. And I think they have the means behind it to make it happen this year. I tell you what, because if it doesn't happen this year, if Republicans can't take over the city this year, I don't think it's ever going to happen. And I think everybody's scared. I think Democrats are truly scared, as they should be. They should be scared shitless that they're going to lose their grip on this city. And I tell you what, having the representative, having Councilwoman Jelks leading the party and leading the council, I think is only a benefit to Republicans. I think she is an absolute 150% friggin' psycho, crazy woman who cares only about social justice. And everybody is evil in her eyes if you are not black. I'm going to say it. I know nobody else wants to say it because everyone else is being afraid of being called a racist. Listen, that's who she is. And her arrogance about it, and she thinks that everybody's just going to fall in line, it's their downfall. And the fact that they all got behind her on this nonsense with this anti-police, this racial divide that they're trying to put in the city of Meriden, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to put a divide between people based on races. They are trying to play identity politics, and they're trying to label and box everybody in certain ways. And it's going to backfire on them because this city, the city of Meriden, does not have a racial problem. We all love one another. The only ones that are having those problems are the people that are pushing this false narrative. And for them not to be called racist would be an injustice to all of us who are not. I have no problem calling a spade a spade. It is what it is. This is straight talk. We don't hide. We're not going to hide. We're going to call it the way we see it. I'm going to call it the way I see it. There's only one person trying to cause racial division in this city, and that is Sonia Jelks and her band of fucking idiots. I can't get any clearer than that. Any clearer than that. That was another question I got. People asked, there was, let me grab the question real quick because it was one. This is from Jessica. She said, "Hi, I'm new to your show. The last couple of times." She said, "I was wondering if you talk like that at home." And so I had to send a reply. And I was like, "Talk like what at home?" She's like, and she wrote back, she goes, "Well, you do curse every once in a while." And I said, and so I replied back to her and I said, "Yeah, I mean, listen, I am who I am. I am who I am. Do I curse a lot? Yeah, I do. Because you know what? I don't care. It's me. That's how I am. I don't care. I am so confident in myself that I don't care what other people think. This is how I talk. I am passionate about certain things, and it comes out in that. So, yes, like I said, when I first started the show, put your kids to bed. This is not a kid-friendly show. We talk about serious issues facing this city, this state, and this country. And if someone swearing is going to trigger you, then you got bigger problems than me sitting here swearing on a show that I run. Because at the end of the day, I don't fucking care. At the end of the day, I am not here on cable TV. I would be on Sirius XM radio or on satellite, or on premium channels. You wouldn't put me on there. One person asked me, who do I see myself as? And I tell you what, I had to think about it. And I was like, if I had to choose one, maybe like a Bill Maher, but on the conservative side, because I watch his show. I like his show, even though he's a hardcore liberal. Listen, he's been coming around. He's been coming around. He's seeing what liberalism is doing, and it's scaring the crap out of him because he knows that's not what liberalism really started out as. But he sees it going off the edge. So, and he's trying to warn liberals on what the hell they're doing and to stop. And I don't think it's going to work. I think they're just too crazy and they're just going to let it go. But if I had to sit there and compare myself to another show, I would say it'd be Real Talk. I think it's Real Talk with Bill Maher or something like that. And yeah, so I'm a conservative and he's a liberal. But yeah, listen, I swear. I think we're all adults here. If you can't deal with the swearing, there's an X button on the top right of your show. So no, I will not change. I will never change for anybody. I am who I am. I'm very confident in that. And yeah, everyone else could go, yeah, fuck yourselves, I guess. I don't know what else to tell you. So there's my answer to that. I mean, that's who I am. But it is 8 o'clock, and I try to keep it to our hour. I have a bunch more questions. Maybe we'll take one more. Let me switch over to him. Oh, I'm sorry, Craig. I wanted to respond to yours, Craig. So Craig was asking about, and we addressed it a couple weeks ago when he first asked. I don't know if you had jumped off, Craig, but Craig asked about the appointment of Kevin Curry to the Planning Commission to take over for Steve Vollano, who is the chairman who left Connecticut and moved down to Florida. So yeah, so Craig, I don't have an issue based on his qualifications. He is obviously more than qualified to be on it. I do see there is a lot of conflict of interest for him since he does own half of East Main Street, and he does have a lot of things coming up that are going to directly affect him personally, which I think are conflicts of interest. So I do have a problem with him being a full member. I didn't have any issue with him being an alternate. The other issue I have is that he's a U, he's not an R, and that seat was held by an R. And I don't like the fact that the mayor never reached out to the chairman of the Republican Party to find out who he wanted to fill that seat, the way it's traditionally done. Usually, it's traditionally the party that is leaving, that party would put someone forward, and that did not happen. And I think that was Kevin's first FU to the Republican Party for not endorsing him. Is it right? No. Does he have the right to do it as being mayor, who is one of his only joys of being in political office? It's the only power he has, is appointing to committees and commissions. So, listen, he has the right to do it. Was it the right move? No, I don't think so. But, so be it. It's the Planning Commission. He is more than qualified to do it. So I can't debate it on anything other than whether it was right or wrong in the process. The process, I believe, is wrong. But listen, I'm neither the mayor nor am I the Republican chair, so that's up for them to fight out. If you're asking me a direct question, whether or not I think he should be there, I do not think he should be there as a full member. I do believe he should be there as his alternate, as he was before. But again, that is my view on it. I think he just has a lot of conflict of interest, especially coming up with a lot of the development that's being done on his properties down on East Main Street. But other than that, good guy. I mean, I can't say anything really negative about him. He's a very successful businessman. So I give him credit for that. You don't get there by being stupid or making bad moves. So more credit to him, and we'll see what he does. But we'll leave it at that tonight, ladies and gentlemen. So as always, I will see you guys back here on Thursday night at 7 p.m. So as always, I love each and every one of you. Go out there, spread love, and make sure you're promoting within your circle of influence the greatness of this country and the city. And like I said, we're all in this together. This song that's about to play is our theme song. It is what we are. We are together. And the voices we join together as is as loud as a hurricane and as powerful as an earthquake. So it's up to us to make sure we stick together and put that voice out there. So until next time, I love you. Take care. God bless you. And God bless this amazing country of ours, the United States of America. Good night. And I will see you Thursday.
And a million faces formed together, made for elevation. I'm a soldier, won't surrender. Faith is like a fire that never burns to embers. The voice of the unheard. Love is the answer. I gotta speak it, believe it, that's how I feel inside. I can't sit here quiet. You can take my heart, you can take my breath when you pry it from my cold dead chest. This is how we rise up. Heavy as a hurricane, louder than a freight train. This is how we rise up. Heart is beating faster, feels like thunder. Magic static, call me a fanatic. It's our world, they can never have it. This is how we rise up. It's our resistance, you can't resist us. Can you hear me? Are you listening? Sleeping and the shadows could be making